Right. So the last class we went over the texts A and B for the specimen paper 2024. Paper 2 directed writing questions. We highlighted points which we believed should be included in our response. The question is asking us to write a magazine article for young people about the advantages and disadvantages of traveling to other countries. Now, I've asked you to rephrase these points, find some new points, and also to pick a side. Now, I fear to ask, have you done that homework? Amariza? Yes? And Bakar? No? Yes? Oh, okay. 3 on 3. So my fears were unfounded. Now, what we're going to do, I'm actually going to put my entire screen on share for you guys. Okay. And so we're going to start with the rephrasing. Tell me, what have you rephrased for each of these points? For example, all right, let's start with text A. So you're saying fuel guzzling aeroplanes. What have you said to rephrase this? Fuel costly. Right. So it would be a good idea for me to write that down as well. Uh, just a second. Okay. All right. So for let's do this. Okay. So we have fuel costly. What do we have for the other? Then we've got paying ridiculously high prices. Paying absurd prices. Absurd prices. Okay. Getting ripped off. All right. You got getting scammed and haram. What were you suggesting? Okay. Being tricked or getting scammed. Those are good. All right. What about all of this? What better way to understand your own country's history and traditions than by holidaying there and seeing them for yourself? Obviously, you'd want to rephrase the gist of that. So, Haran, are you suggesting something? Anyone? Learning our own country's history and culture and traditions, because we can't really do anything about those words. Culture and traditions. Okay, it's eco-friendly and even more so if you don't use a car. What would you say for eco-friendly? Environmentally friendly. And if not using a car, we could say, especially, we could do something better, especially, right, when not using private transport, because that's where cars and motorcycles come in basically, right? And the problem there is with private transport, basically, on a side note, is a car can usually at least fit in four people. So if you're the only one going about in a car, so you're spending all that fuel and you're the only one traveling. You should, have 4 to 5 people in a car. It's still better, right? Of course, not as good as public transport in terms of, cost effectiveness, usage of fuel, and the impact on the environment. Okay, stay with friends and family. I think we can leave that as it is, or you could try and rephrase. Has anyone rephrased that? Staying with friends and family? Yeah, go ahead. Ah, nice. Spending time with loved ones, or you could do relatives, although that doesn't include family, right? Or nears and dears, with our nears and dears. We fail to appreciate where we live. Could you repeat that, please? Ah, ungrateful. That's a strong word, right? So, being ungrateful towards, right, what our own country offers. Right. How many of us can claim that we really know where we come from? Did anyone try rephrasing that one? Okay, we'll go by turn. Mariza, what do you have? Okay, it would be very few people, not less, know about their own country. And Bakar, what were you suggesting? Could you repeat that a little slower, please, and a little louder? Okay, if I heard you correct, we can't really claim we understand where we come from. And last but not least, reduce your carbon footprint. So we could say for reduce, we could say lower or lessen our carbon footprint. Well, I wouldn't change footprint because it is a term with a specific meaning. So I won't change that. What is that, Haram? No, like I said, carbon footprint is a specific term, so I don't want to change it. Okay? All right. So this was for text A. Now let's go to text B. Let's see what we can do with that. I like that you put in the effort, right? So text B says, open their eyes to how fascinating and varied the world is. Okay, how beautiful and I believe you said diverse the world is. Right? Okay. Then we have you can practice a language, learn about different cultures and attitudes, try new and exotic food. Did anyone try rephrasing this? Okay, Marla, go ahead. Cuisines. That it's pronounced cuisine. Okay, so we get to learn about other customs and try new cuisine. Okay, so, oh, interesting. Okay, remove all of that and try new cuisine. Okay, Haram, did you have a suggestion for this one as well? The learning languages and cultures and attitudes and exotic foods. Mm. Right. So more or less you can add traditions over here. You already got customs, you got new cuisines, languages, right? So you can, I think, keep languages as it is. Okay, stepping outside your comfort zone. Try something new. And I can't catch that last word. If you could type it in the chat, that would be helpful. Challenging. Okay. Okay. Whiteboard stalling again for some reason. See places that were breathtakingly beautiful. I think this is sort of a repeat. What do I do over here? Okay, it's working now. So, see places that were breathtakingly beautiful. But if you could just slow down your pace and increase your volume, that would be better. So, could you repeat that, please? Okay. Visit new places of compelling beauty. Spelling. We could also say, right, that those places are picturesque, right, or they are mesmerizing in their beauty. We learned so much from each other, mostly that we had far more similarities than differences. Yes? This was not about traditions and cultures. This one's about understanding that humans across the globe, cultures and traditions may be different, but human beings are essentially far more similar than we think. This one's not about traditions and cultures. Okay. So, what can we write for this one? We learned so much from each other, mostly that we had far more similarities than differences, right? Realizing how alike people are despite living in different countries or regions across the globe. You don't have to pay to watch a sunset. You don't have to pay to watch a sunset. How would you try to rephrase that? Anyone? Watching a sunset is free. Okay. Watching or enjoying a sunset is free or doesn't cost anything. Oops, wrong window. Okay. You can survive with what you can carry on your back. Does anyone? Okay. Uh, the things you can carry in a backpack, because that's basically what you're talking about, are sufficient for one's survival. It made me grow up. How would you write this one? It made me grow up. It helped me grow, or we could say mature, right? And obviously, we're talking about mental growth or mental maturity. Now, first, I want to adjust these grid lines. Okay. Now that we're done with the rephrasing, okay. Uh, in your article, you should evaluate the ideas and opinions in both texts and give your own views. Now, that brings me to the second thing I asked you to do. Have you found some new points? Anyone? All right, Haram, I'll just be with you. I don't know why I'm being okay. All right. What do you have? Let me know. Haram? Learning about our ancestors. Okay. Anything else? Support economy. We can do both ways. Okay. hidden gems. Explore the hidden gems, beauty of our country. Anything else? Ah, that's an interesting one. Communication skills. Instead of increase highlight boosts, creativity, confidence, and self-esteem. So that's along the same lines. We still have more. Educational values. Do the two of you have anything, Ammar and Bakr? Okay. Right. Educational value. Learning about people's lifestyle. Anything else? Broaden mindset or approach or makes open minded. Okay, I believe these much are enough. Do you still have more? Okay. Now, since these are ones that you have found, apart from the text, so these are, right, additional points. And so obviously you don't need to rephrase these. Now comes the part where students tend to get confused, right? How much time do we have on the clock? Oh, plenty. 32 minutes. Okay. So evaluate the ideas again. Now, what does evaluation mean, right? Evaluation, and if you recall the, if you recall the syllabus for 2024, 2026, right? They have the command words in there, right at the end, right? And so evaluate means to judge or calculate the quality, importance, amount, or value of something, right? And so what we're going to do is now try and evaluate these points. So there are two things you want to do, right? Because what they expect is an argumentative and persuasive and discursive, right? So the first thing you want to do, right, is weigh in on the strength huh, what's the strength? Evaluation, weigh in on the okay strength of a point. So what that means is that you argue, right, if a point in favor or against, right, really holds value. So, right, for example, uh, spending time with loved ones or relatives, right? For example, you take this point and you say, well, is that really a reason why I would not want to go? I can, during my summer break where I've got like a month or so, I can explore the world, I can move out, right, of my comfort zone as they've used. So, right, you will do a bit of evaluation, try writing that again. I think while writing I was hitting the erase button which wipes out the page. I'll try and not do that this time. Weigh in on the okay, save. So you will try and evaluate both sides of the argument, but you will lean towards your chosen side, right? And you will have to choose a side, you will have to make that choice before you start writing your article or letter or speech or whatever task has been given to you. So, have you, which side have you decided to take? Are you in favor of traveling to other countries or against? Aram, you're in favor. Bakar? Okay. Amarism? Oh, all in favor. No one's against traveling, right? So the explanation for me becomes easier. I don't have to play on both sides, right? I can just go one way. And so, right, another thing you want to do in the evaluation, right, is go beyond what the text is. And by go beyond, I mean, right, expand on a point and elaborate. So now I don't need to do that for every individual point. What I can do is I can take a look at all of these and then I can come up with something and say, oh, well, let's say that we're doing this. So, right, it's fuel costly and right, we're talking about lowering our carbon footprint and we're talking about being environmentally friendly. So, right, I could take those points and I could say, we need to learn to to be conscious about the about what or how is better, our actions impact the global environment, right? And because I'm in favor of traveling, well, in this case, I'd actually, develop this against, right? Is vacationing really worth adding to the pollution? And I can keep on going with when our world is already so ill, for example, right? Now, again, right, how I like it depends on which points I am evaluating. Where am I? Okay, no, I just need to stick to the one. Okay. Uh, okay. Being ungrateful towards what our own country offers, very few people know. We can't really claim to understand where we come from, learning our own country's history and culture. I can take all of that and I can say we are allured by the beauty of foreign lands and languages, while ignoring the richness of all that we possess. And I can add to that the grass is always greener on the other side. Do you understand what I'm doing here? Any questions? Ammar is no, I mean no questions, but do you understand what I'm doing here? How I'm trying to expand and elaborate on what the text has said. The text has not said this much, but I'm taking it further. Baka, are you are you following? All right. Okay, good. Right, because this is the tricky part. Oh, now let's talk about tech B. So I want to evaluate this in a positive light, obviously, because it is in favor and we've all chosen to be in favor. So, right, getting to learn about other customs and trying new cuisines, okay. Uh, Try something new and challenging, realizing how alike people are. If I try to take all of those together, how do I evaluate this? We learn that despite, let's say, superficial differences of, right, tongue, which basically means language, and, right, clothing or dresses, and customs, right? Humans are essentially the same or very much alike. And I can develop this further and say, right, this realization can help bring people together, or can help bring people closer, or you can do closer together. Uh, okay, try something new and challenging, help me grow up. Uh, so, new experiences spur our growth or add to our maturity in ways, right, perhaps not available if we stay at home only. And by home, I mean our home country, right? Not, the physical building. Okay, talking about beauty. So the world offers boundless beauty, both natural and, right, of human design instead of saying man-made. And it would be a great opportunity to view it with one's own eye. Okay, so I've done 3 points of evaluation here. Of course, you can try a bit more, right? For example, okay, I'll just do this one bit more. Again, how are we doing on time? We have 15 minutes class. Okay, so I'll add one more point about the backpack thing, and I can say realizing that we don't really need as many things or as many material things in our lives, and that, right, our essential items are really very few. So that's one way you could develop, right? So, right, along with the evaluation, what they're actually looking for, if I just squeeze it down here, is development of points and your argument. So that's what they're looking for. Now, with that done, hopefully you guys are following along. You did say, and I haven't touched on these, so obviously you've got all of these. You can, throw them into the mix. If we go to the question again, so now what do you have? You have to write your magazine article. I did share that with you, the sample and the approach the last time. And so, right, base your article on what you have read in both text, but be careful to use your own words. We did the own words part. We're good on that. Address both of the bullet points. So we've done that, right? Begin your article with a suitable headline. 250 to 350 words is your limit. Up to 10 marks available for content and 15 for the quality of your writing. So I did share with you the mark scheme, right? And how you actually can get those marks. So if you come back here, what you want to do is you want to have, right, so this is how you're going to do it. I'm going to assign this as homework today. I don't expect it by tomorrow, so we'll be looking at this Monday next week. Tomorrow we'll dive into composition and explain how to do that. So you'll probably end up having 2 writing tasks for your next class. Okay, so you want a headline, and since it is a magazine article, not headline, you want it to be catchy. You want it to be catchy because it is a magazine article, right? If it was a report, it would be very straightforward. This is not a report. And so you want it to be catchy, you want it to be interesting, right? You're going to have your introductory paragraph. That's probably going to be just 1 paragraph. And so in your introduction, you're going to, right, talk generally about traveling to other countries, right? And you're you're going to give some introduction, some points that people are interested and they like to travel, especially during the summer vacations, right? Some people prefer staying at home, and then you're going to say that there are differing opinions when it comes to traveling, You can say some can't live without it, and some prefer staying in their home country or exploring their home country. It's not just about staying in their home country, right? They're not saying don't travel at all, but they're saying travel home. Then you come to the body, right? And the body will have 2 to 3 paragraphs. So if you're of the notion that a piece of writing has to be 3 paragraphs, that is not true. Okay? It doesn't have to be 3 paragraphs. So the body can be 2 or 3 paragraphs. And how you could play this is you could, right, in 1 paragraph, you could talk about, since you are uh, all in favor, right? So you could talk about points against, right? And in this case, in this, you will include, the actual points that you've rephrased, rephrased points from text, plus your evaluation, right? And any additional points. Then, right, you will go for points in favor, right? Same thing. And here you will show your, like, hint towards your inclination. How will you do that? By stressing in your evaluation, right? Acha, how will you come to this? You will say, all of this, people say you shouldn't travel abroad for so and so reason. You should travel your own country, etc., etc. And then you would go with, however, right? On the other side of the argument, people say, and right? And then you come to your conclusion. And over here, you will clearly take a side, right? You will say, I am of the opinion, or I believe, or I prefer, depending, right? And then you will give points of support for whichever side you've taken, but just make sure that those points are not repetition, so they're new points. So out of all the points in favor and plus any additional points in favor of traveling perhaps that you have, uh, in traveling to other countries, that, right? And so you would want to save at least 2 points, maybe 3 if you can, to include in your conclusion. You don't want to repeat the same points you've already mentioned, right? And so all of this will give variety to your writing. So this is how you would approach it. I'll set up an assignment on your Google Classroom for this. You have the week to work on this, so plenty of time. And tomorrow I'll talk about the composition and its approach, and I'll also talk about the writing process, so that will also help you with your directed writing tasks, right? And so you have 2 writing tasks to do over the course of a week until your next classes. Any questions about what we've done today? Yes, Adam, any questions? Yes. Yeah. The title isn't a headline that you have to come, right? So, for example, your headline would be uh, uh, traveling abroad or exploring home, for example. You can put a question, right? Because that's going to give interest. Like, you're like, okay, what are they talking about, right? So you need to look at this from the point of view of a reader. Will your headline attract a reader? Anyone else? Any questions? Amarza, Bhagat? Okay. So in that case, right, we'll end here. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the composition. And yeah, I'll let you know when I set up the assignment in Google Classroom. So I'll see you guys next class. Allah. Allah.